Alright, Team 2's OSP. OSP must deploy on this side of the map an awful lot. Let's see. Clever girl. Like that. Ooh, this might be spicy. This is the very bottom point you can deploy on, and I believe if you come in from this angle, it's actually impossible. Oh, as I said that, he moved. But if you were to deploy here, I believe it's impossible for the enemy team to see your drive plumes. Meaning if you do want to go under this rock, they might not know you are there if they don't send a scout at all. Whereas sometimes if you deploy from over here, when the ship comes in, you can kind of get sight on D and see those retro thrusters firing and know that someone is there. UEE and Tide look like they want to do a B push, leaving the rest of their team on D. Oh. Oh, we got the bug. There it goes. Woohoo! All right. So we got, yep, Beam BB with the the bullseye on the Class 3 there. Look at that little guy. That's cute. This is gun targeting. Interesting. Corvette. This is a hybrid with the cannon on the back. Interesting. And S3's on the bottom. This is an interesting design. I'm not sure why they opted to put another S3 on the bottom facing forward when they could have had a turret there and put the vertical, the VLS S3 on the back. That's more common, but we'll see how that works out. Some beam, size 3. Are these hybrids? Yep. Some beam hybrid DDs. Those will be interesting. Those were very, very meta before the OSP went live. So these are missile frigs, mix of S2, S3s. Oh, they're meta because this is ANS versus ANS, and I totally forgot. I haven't played one of these matches in a long time. Alright, so we've got a Pinard frigate, a gun frig. This is... It's funny in ANS versus ANS and how everyone brings small ships because they're used to fighting the OSB. These would get absolutely dunked on by, well, even an Axford, really. And that BB is probably going to clean up. All right, we've got a hybrid. Axford. Some more DDs. These are rails. And missiles. Some capping corves. Ewar corv. And this is Ewar plus missile beams. So a lot of DDs. We have missile hybrid beam DDs on both sides. A lot of missile frigates on both sides. Only 2 CLs. And then a beam battleship. So the beam battleship is moving through D. It's probably going to get spotted and have a whole bunch of size 3 hybrids shot at it. Let's see what the play is. So Beam BB from this position goes to A. This is not a particularly safe approach. If you're not going to go under the map, probably better to come in from C, use these rocks for cover, and get to a position where you can beam anything going to A, otherwise stay safe. From this position, you only have into the middle of the map to go. and that is a precarious position. On the other side, these DDs are in fact pushing for B. They're rolling the dice on their jammers, keeping them safe. Luckily, there's nothing over here to contest them. As I say that, they fire their jammers. So they were more than likely be able to cross this entire distance, and once they're there, there'll be a real pain unless the missiles on these destroyers can kind of counter battering them. A couple size 2 S2Hs coming out from this frigate. Looks like they are going for... Ooh. This Axford, which has been... No? Gone for these corvettes, which have been spotted. Here they go, activating. Oh, that weave. Might not have been weave, but unfortunately, they do miss. Guess they were pure radar. Meanwhile, S3Hs counter battering. And these are going for... Interesting. Not sure what they're seeing, if they're being fired blindly. They see something. No chaff on this guy. Means that is pretty much mission killed frigate. Meanwhile, these missiles once again get spoofed by the chaff. Oh, looks like those counter battery S3s did catch this, meaning all of its missiles, all of those points are locked away as it is dead. Interesting choice moving these so far ahead. I suppose they're a direct fire. It's still a really aggressive position to take. And these cyclones possibly going to impact. They do, but they are S2Hs, which don't really deal enough damage to hurt an Axford. They're okay against a lot of the OSP ships, but firing these at an Axford is really just annoying. Finally managed to take out one of those corvettes. Meanwhile, this Axford's... Does it actually have tracks? Yes, they do. Guess they're getting them from the corvette. Meanwhile, this DD frigate group have managed to sneak all the way around. They're on top of the beam battleship. But it looks like the beam battleship is aware they are there. One of them was already killed on the E point. Let's take a look at his turrets. They're not pointed above. Looks like any second now that ambush is going to go off. Meanwhile, more cyclones coming in. The rail group possibly is trying to get an angle on these DDs. No, they look like they want to fire at nothing because they can see nothing. Let's see what this group does. Still backing off. Is this alive? Yes, it is. Meaning, if it trundles forward, it's going to spot and completely foil that attack. A Beam BB will easily take out a pair of beam destroyers. Just shoot them right down the snoot and end their jolly days. Well, this Axford continuing to fire its own S2s. Looks like it wants to engage these beam DDs. It's moving into standoff range, which is where it wants to be. But there are hybrids coming for it. This other Axford, it's moving into the center. Supported somewhat by these frigates. This one is the dead one. And a couple more missiles coming out from the DD, coming from the frigates for this Axford. Looks like the Sarissas are taking care of business. I think it does have Sarissas. Yes. Sarissas making short work of them. They don't appear to have terminals, just the kind of waviness that happens from the linear attack path. I forget what it's called. So at this point, these DDs, they may get fire on these CLs, but the juicy target of the battleship.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
Oh, looks like it's coming over. It does have turrets swiveling to engage. Is it going to roll? Looks like it is. Out come the missiles. They're very close range. Slam home into this CL. This one's not having a good day. Trying to get its beam on target. Might succeed. CL's firing RPF. Not really going to be able to take out these hybrids as they stage out of the tubes. And here comes the beam, BB. It's going to end whatever hope this fleet has. They might succeed. Well, they do succeed in damaging these CLs, but it looks like they might be able to recover. This BB is having none of this, as it's flacking missiles out of the tube. Still managing to hit the CL. See if anything else is going on. More missiles headed for this DD group. They are in the open, but Aurora Gaming is back for revenge. Looks like taking out all of those. Back over the DDs. This beam battleship. It's trying to save its teammate. Might not be enough, as more and more missiles are spit out. Unfortunately, looks like... Where is their CIC? Oh, they've put it in a kind of strange location on the front there. And continuing to punish these CLs. And unfortunately, seems like it's the end of the CLs as this DD completes its retreat around the rock. This beam BB has completely overkilled this destroyer. And this CL is probably not coming back from this. But all is not lost for Team 1 yet. Some hybrids coming in. They are going to connect. Kind of strange behavior from those. Stop, stop. He's already dead. Like I was saying, kind of a strange behavior from those AMMs. Do manage to engage. Unfortunately, this Beam BB does not seem to have any Auroras, which is bad news bears if you're going to fight the ANS. As it continues to take shot after shot.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
If this Beam BB does not quickly pull out of line of sight of that other fleet and engage this Axford, it is going to get a Beam BB, an Axford, and these rails all firing it all at once, which will not be a happy ending for it. Meanwhile, that Axford taking A, the Beam BB, this destroyer group has something to say about it, though. Let's see if these torpedoes can get through. Probably not, as I can see there's flak. Actually, not a whole lot of PD, and it's turning the wrong way. We'll have to see if they can make it through. Otherwise, this BB is still continuing to get hit. Oh, those were hybrids. In which case, they do get through. Deal some damage to its reactor. Really need more if it can. Meanwhile, this BB manages to kill the destroyer, probably too far away to engage that Axford now. And this frigate has pushed awfully far up. Does it have missiles left? No. So, missile frigate turned scout is chasing down this Axford, which is fairly healthy. Meanwhile, Team 1 has managed to sandwich this Axford. If this Beam BB... Looks like this Beam BB is, yes, it is pushing down now, which is a good attack as more hybrids slam into the rear of this Axford, taking out a whole lot. Not quite at CIC, but many drives are down. This needs to scram its reactor right now before it dies. That's a good attack from those destroyers. The other DD group still has missiles, still has railguns being fired. Looks like all of the missile frigates are out of juice. Didn't see them score many hits, but it's possible you missed that. This CL is dead. So from this point, Team 2 has one slightly damaged Axford left, a couple of missiles, and some rail DDs against a basically fully combat capable beam battleship and a destroyer group that has its beams but is out of missiles. No, still has some missiles left. Still have their torpedoes left. And looks like this Axford did not scram its reactor. But I don't see... Oh, there is a reactor overload. Yeah, there's two. Possibly this is just going to explode soon. More missiles coming in at the BBB. And there that Axford goes. More size 2 hybrids, more size 3 hybrids, all coming for this BB. Still has a gun frigate shooting at it. Here come the hits. Those are scoring lots of damage straight into the midsection, taking out turrets, taking out modules. And still some missiles remaining for this Axford. Unsure if this Beam BB can close all the way and get a beam on target. Only has one restore left. Don't see... Can't really afford to zombie too much more as more missiles come in. Meanwhile, these DDs... Oh, here comes the big S2. All the point defense on this side has been ravaged. And in they go. Continuing to get hit with rails, continuing to get hit by 450. Still trying to close the distance. Might not have any weapons available to fight with when it gets there. And that is a major blow to Team 1 if they lose this battleship, and they will lose this battleship. These DDs are more than likely not able to kill off this Axford.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
Still have more missiles available. So I'd go ahead and call this for the OSP. There aren't enough combat ships left to deal with everything here. There are still... There's a frigate available, 2 frigates available, plus DDs, plus this Axford, which is already within striking distance of sea. That's what it's more than likely going to cap. From sea... Definitely, it's going to come down to this rail fleet. This rail fleet needs to get engaged. It needs to help cap some points. Oh, that capper just got obliterated. Now, this is a good position for these DDs. They know if they hold on to B, they have a shot at winning. It's just a matter of if they can avoid being engaged until the points tick up far enough. They're only at 656. If this Axford takes C and then D, and they manage to get this gun frig over to A, they could easily flip points before Team 1 gets there. So at this point, it's Team 2's game to lose. If they blunder into these DDs before securing all of these points, then it could go Team 1's way. But they've seen those beams fire. They know the DDs are under here. And they have radar on one of them now. And this is an empty missile box versus a gun frig. This gun frig is easily going to be able to push off, possibly even kill this and cap A. These DDs, if they can move close enough to fire on A, then that would be 2 points that they have secured. Is that enough? Possibly. There's still this Axford, which should have an angle. Oh, this BB is moving again. But it can't really do anything. It should be driving to A, if anything. B is secured by these DDs. There's no point in going there. Possibly this frigate could go to E and trade points with this gun frig. But it is being fired upon. Here come the DDs. This could be the play. If they get in range of this frigate and stop that cap and then run this frigate over to E, that could be the game for them. But it looks like that's not what's happening. Unfortunately, these rail DDs without missiles still have some. And there comes the beam. Doesn't have a shot on this gun frig, but this gun frig also cannot cap A. Which they really need to do if they're to have a hope of winning. Up to 820 points now. Dagger will flip, but they are far enough ahead. They would need to at least decap A. And they can't do it. In fact, this DD is moving closer. It's being fired on by the Axford and the frigate. Unfortunately, these rail DDs are just not able to contest points. A torpedo coming in, and the beam. This is likely going to be the end of this frigate, as the beam guts it right before the torpedo hits. Boom. That's that. And this DD coming in to stop that cap. Pretty much won them the game. Unfortunately, these DDs too slow, not in position, can't really do anything. And with that, the game goes Team 1's way. This Axford, it doesn't have enough time anymore to engage. So, hindsight. Both teams played pretty well. The Beam BB, unfortunately, kind of got caught out of position twice. Once, this ambush, I believe they saw that was there because there was that Corvette up there. And these CLs looked like they were maneuvering to try and get away. Got caught. The Beam BB, by the time it wrapped around, that Axford had gone to mid and really punished both these CLs. It did eventually get killed, but by moving straight towards A at that point, it ate all the missiles from the DDs up here and the Axford, and that was pretty much it. And losing that was a major blow to the team. If instead it had gone along the left flank where there's a lot more cover, just a more protected approach rather than going through kind of so you have no man's land on one side and then no man's land on the other. Yeah, you're a Beam BB and you're scary and you can kill everything, but stuff can still be very far away and shoot you. Whereas if you go kind of through this mid, there's just a lot more protection available from different angles. Team 2 wise, don't have really a lot of input, even though this team got wiped out on this flank and this team got wiped out in the middle. Those were actually pretty decent plays, and they did trade in killing off the CLs and the Beam BB for it. Unfortunately, a fleet like this is just really hard
The enemy is securing zone eclipse.
to sort of make a comeback. You know, if you're winning, a fleet like this is great. You can support your fleets and really kill the enemy faster. But if your fleets are trading and you don't realize that soon enough, then you are not able to contest and get capture points and ultimately win the game. Possibly with a couple of capping ships in addition to this, and going a little bit less heavy on the missiles might have helped. But it is ANS versus ANS, so it's a little bit different.
The enemy is securing zone Atlas.
Um,
We are contesting zone Atlas.
it seems like the meta of the game has shifted greatly, such that ANS doesn't really want to bring as many capping ships because those capping ships in general will lose in fights versus shuttles, which makes them a whole lot less valuable. And because of that, it seems like the capping game in general has gone down for ANS.
The enemy is securing zone Atlas.
Well played to both teams.